Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Hey, look, we're back. We decided last night after we finished recording that because like Greg had to just bounce so early, it bounced out of nowhere, and we were running long, and we were like, there's stuff we didn't get to. I was like, you got time for a part 2? So here we are.
Let's do it.
It's literally 24 hours later since we recorded the last one, which is already up. So this one will be up, so, and for those of you listening on Spotify, you're not even going to know the difference because they're going to drop at the same time.
Sweet.
But yeah, in case you decided to not watch part 1 and just came to part 2, welcome to Wildcard Cinema. We usually have rules, but we're not abiding by them on this supplemental episode. This one, we're just going over stuff that came out in 2024. Our third panelist, Mark, is under the weather. Can't be with us. No worries. He'll be with us when we start again for episode 1 of season 2 in 2 weeks. But yeah, so if you haven't watched episode 1, I suggest you go back, or what episode, if you part 1, go back and watch it. So that way, in case we start talking about stuff, you realize that, like, why didn't they talk about this? Because we did in the last one. So yeah, so I know there's a couple that I speed ran through at the end, and it was just like, did you see it? No, I saw it. It was okay. Yada yada. I wanted to just touch on those a little more.
Sure thing.
So Late Night with the Devil. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a while to finally watch it, but I'm glad I did. I thought it was a good take on that. There's like a subgenre of found footage that's kind of like that. It's a lot like if you ever watch the British special Ghost Watch that aired in the early 90s, it's kind of the same premise, but done obviously with a modernized American spin. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was creative. I didn't love it as much as other people. But yeah, very, very inventive. I did like it a lot.
Yeah, I suggest you. Yeah, if you have,
yeah, good. Really
good. David Melton's great. Yeah, but I suggest if you haven't, watch Ghost Watch, and it might give you a little more appreciation for what they did.
Cool.
Just because that was Ghost Watch was kind of like a War of the Worlds moment for the BBC. Because even though they put like warnings up at the beginning saying like this is all work of fiction, people didn't pay attention to it, and they took everything that was happening for real, especially because there was a call-in line on the bottom of the screen and shit. So yeah, but yeah, definitely worth watching. Let's see here next. Terrifier 3 I just touched on. I know you did not see that, right?
No, I haven't yet ventured into Terrifier territory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Terrifier, it's the beauty of Terrifier is if you're an old school 80s slasher fan, you're going to love the Terrifier movies. The guy who plays Art the Clown, he really embraces the character, which is great. And the other great thing is the fact that everything's practical effects and it's done on a low budget. And even when they got the bigger budgets for 2 and 3, it's still like 3 was only on like a $2 or $3 million budget. And to do everything that he did was so much fun. And I think worldwide box office, it grossed 90 million. It's the highest rated. It's the highest grossing unrated movie of all time now.
Yep. I do know the second movie is like very long.
Yes, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very strange.
Right. Well, because the second movie is when they decided to start giving some more lore to the character. Because the first movie is just like it's straight up slasher, and you really can't figure out rhyme or reason behind anything about the character. Whereas 2 started delving a little into possible origin, possible connection to people, and 3 added more to the lore. Like I said, I still enjoy part 2 the most. I know Mark hates part 2.
I've heard you can watch the third one without even seeing the other ones.
You can.
Yeah.
I would suggest watching the other 2 just because of the continuity of Art and his cohort in the movie, and also the girl, because 3 is a continuation of part 2. It's the same. It's a brother and sister from part 2 that go into part 3. So you kind of need that. But as a standalone, you can. My only issue was, and I think Damien Leone might have just done it on purpose, was a lot of the gore effects and kills in part 3. Not that they were over the top, they just didn't look as realistic. And what I mean by that is Tom Savini has always talked about when he worked on, I think it was a Dario Nicolodi production or a Fulci production, he got the recipe for the right color for movie blood to make it look real, where it's this many parts red and you put in this many parts green so it looks human. Otherwise, everything looks like red Kool-Aid. And the thing is, Tom Savini did a cameo in Terrifier 3. So he was on the set, but all the blood still looks like red Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, did you not listen to Tom Savini?
Speaking of very realistic kill scenes, have you seen In a Violent Nature?
I have not. I have heard so many mixed things on it, and I'm trying to remember because people seem to think that it's this new concept of doing a slasher movie from the viewpoint of the villain, but that was done with I keep forgetting the name. It was an 80s horror movie that did it, and the whole movie was in the viewpoint of the slasher, and it fucking bombed, and most of the fans hated it.
Yeah, I recommend it. I mean, again, I think you know me. It takes a lot for me to really hate a movie. So a lot of them fall in my Letterboxd ratings. Like I go like 3 stars to 4 stars, like in most stuff. And then if it's really, really good, I 4.5. 5 come down to classics, but it's got to be pretty mediocre to something very bad in it for me to go lower than like a 2.5. So
okay,
a lot of these movies, Late Night with the Devil, In the Violent Nature, they're all good 3.5.
Okay. Did you see Trap?
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the whole movie, but I've watched enough breakdowns of it, and I basically know all the beats of the movie and stuff. Because I was like, I don't know if I want to spend my money on this. I don't know. I feel like Smile 2 did the better. Here's a pop star in a horror movie bit this year.
Oh, well, the best part of Trapped is the concert itself. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I didn't like Trapped that much.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as Old.
See, I remember wanting to see Old so badly, but it was here and gone so fast. And then I saw all the reviews of it, and I was like, "Whoa! I dodged a bullet."
Yeah, it's not good. So yeah, I mean, I guess for M. Night purists, if there are any Old and Trap, fine. Again, Trap, it wasn't particularly bad. It just
because I like Josh Hartnett. And I think he hasn't been used enough in recent years, but
not at all. Big resurgence recently. He did an episode of Black Mirror like 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, and then like ever since he's been popping up and stuff, and he's really good.
Nice.
So I forget he was in another movie I just saw. I won't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, he's good.
Yeah, but yeah. Let's see here. I briefly mentioned Ricky Stanicky. Did you see that?
I did. Good for streaming.
Yeah.
Cena's a very funny actor.
He is. I give him a lot more because a lot, especially coming from the wrestling world, a lot of people give wrestlers who turn into actors a lot of shit. Obviously, Dwayne Johnson was the big breakout, but Cena kind of decided to, instead of doing action, to do comedies, and I think he's good in everything he does.
Yeah, he's really good in comedies. I think as far as wrestlers goes, he's the best to do comedy.
Yeah.
Batista's done some comedy. I think he does drama.
He does drama way better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
I actually saw him today in The Last Showgirl.
Oh.
Very good.
Nice.
And yeah, it's funny. Last Showgirl, it is Pam Anderson's career best performance easily. It's also the 4th best performance in the movie. So, yeah, I mean, I think Jamie Lee Curtis won her Oscar 2 years prematurely. She is unbelievable in this thing. So
awesome.
But yeah, Batista's really leading the way in the drama with wrestlers. I do like Cena in almost everything. I think Cena has done a few sequels to comedies that don't work well. He was in something called Vacation Friends, which was really, really funny. And then they made Vacation Friends 2. And
I was unaware.
Yeah, they're again streaming stuff. He does seem to find his way into like streaming things, which again isn't not terrible. I mean, that's not bad. There's plenty of decent to pretty solid streaming stuff out there.
Right.
But he's good. I like seeing that.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like the premise was like because I remember seeing the trailers and I thought the premise of the movie was something completely different from what it actually was. Because it felt like the premise, if you hadn't seen, if you didn't understand what's going on, was it was an imaginary friend that came to life. And so I was like, oh boy, but I was like, oh no, this makes more sense. And I laughed quite a few times during it. So it's
a return of that Farley Brothers 90s style.
Yeah.
So
I still think my favorite scene of performance was in Trainwreck.
Yeah.
Really
he's really good in Blockers too, if you've ever seen.
Yes, Blockers was good. Yeah, I didn't want to like Blockers when I saw the first trailer, but it grew on me. It was good. Yeah. What did I do? Where did I go? There I am. Another big movie that came out that we didn't even touch on that completely like escaped me at the time was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Again, fell like in the average for me. I as you know, I rewatch a lot of stuff when new movies come out.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to especially that second Apes movie, it's not as good. But but again, you're comparing things. So it was solid. I do think for these ape movies, they do, especially in that second one, like I said, but they do the tremendous work with the mocap stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Especially that second movie.
Oh God, yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, that was probably one of Andy Serkis's best works.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I know this is supposed to be like the thing is, what was it that the studio said this is first part of a new 6-movie arc, and I'm like, okay, you're going too far.
You could listen. You just if they perform well and people like them, just keep making them. You don't have to.
Right. But I mean, like, because I have a little issue with the timeline that they're doing, because so at the beginning it says ages and ages later, but in all the interviews they were trying to say that it's supposed to be like 90 years after the last movie, or like between 75 and 90 years. And I'm like, there's no possible way. I'm like, there's no way that like humans living in bunkers are still there and haven't run out of resources 75 years later.
Yeah, I mean,
and like the satellites and all that shit, like.
I'll just it's an Apes movie. I'll suspend this movie.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever.
But yeah, sorry, folks. My dumb ass always forgets about the spoilers. But I mean, it's I'm interested to see where they go with the series. But I had fun with it. It definitely felt like a big screen movie. Everything.
I will say, for better or for worse, you do lose a lot when you don't have the character of Caesar in the movie.
Yes.
Not even the actor. I mean, I thought the guy that was the main villainish,
Proximus.
The guy who did his performance looks like Elon Musk. I forget what his name is.
Yeah.
But he's a good actor too, and the performance is good. It's just that character of Caesar is really tough to overcome not being there. So
right. And I mean, at least they are going into new territory now, because like the other Apes movies, you could tell they were pulling from the originals and just repackaging them in a way that would meld, which I had no problem with, because I was like, oh, they did this and did that. Kingdom was actually the first movie like that didn't take anything from those original 5 films.
Yep.
So I give it to them for trying to advance a completely original story. Yeah, I give it to them for that. But we'll see where they go from here. I did mention, but we didn't really say anything much on it. Saturday night.
I just got the alert today that it'll be on Netflix this month, so many more people will see it, because it did not get the kind of audience it probably should have at the box office.
It was here and gone in like a week. I didn't even get a chance to see it.
Yeah. I think what Saturday Night does a really great job doing is showing you the first episode of Saturday Night Live without showing it to you.
Yes.
It does show it to you, but not in the way that you think, because I got home and I rewatched the first episode, and they basically show you it all, but in a different way.
Right.
And all the character portrayals are really, really strong.
Yeah.
But I thought
the only one I didn't think was strong was the guy they had playing Dick Ebersol, because they turned him into a sniveling, whining twit, and Ebersol had a spine. Like
Ebersol is played by Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, my brother is a big SNL historian, like read all these books, and I haven't, so I don't know much about. I do know Ebersol. I do know that Ebersol wants to take a lot of credit for the creation of that show.
Oh yeah,
that's one thing that I know, but I don't. I don't know their inner workings or whatever.
No, I'm up on like same. I wish Mark was here, because me and Mark are big SNL historians too.
I thought it did a really good job though, and I thought like even J.K. Simmons as Merton Burrell was really
good. Oh, dude, the scene where he whips out his dick, I'm like, holy shit, they went there.
Yeah, it's really good. The guy who plays Chevy Chase was the Riddler in Gotham, and he's really good.
Okay. I really like the guy they had portraying Jim Henson. I'm like, he really captured being Jim Henson.
So he also played Andy Kaufman in the movie. Played both parts.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's the guy. He plays cousin Greg on Succession. He's a really, really good actor. But he played both parts. I don't really know why they had him both play both parts, but he was really good at both. That's a whole thing too, the whole Muppets of it all with that.
Oh god, yeah. There's so much history people don't realize of that shit.
Yeah, it actually after we finish talking about this movie, let me interject with one other one that I have.
Definitely.
I also glanced by a couple that I probably should have talked about, but
and I just one last thing was I really like the dude that they had play John Belushi. I think because that's a hard nut to crack, and I think the dude did it well.
That was the one performance where I thought they didn't just the actor purposely tried not to just really mimic them.
Yeah,
it was definitely not it was not a mimic of Belushi, which was good,
right?
Because I don't think you can do that, and be successful.
Yeah, I did. The low point I think was the guy they had playing George Carlin.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he was, because they made Carlin out to be a pretentious asshole, and I'm like, listen, like Carlin wasn't that pretentious in the 70s.
I also don't think he was that pretentious off. He might have been on camera pretentious. I don't think he was technically pretentious off camera.
No, he wasn't.
And I also thought they kind of, I guess this is par for course for SNL. They kind of underused the women in the movie.
Yes, they did.
Gilda Radner should be way bigger part of the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I mean, but I mean, they got the vibe of the first night out. Like,
listen, again, I liked it. It was again in that like 3.5 for me. It was like it was good and enjoyable. They did a pretty good job. I like what they did with it. They could have done totally easy wrote things with it, and it would have been a lesser, a lesser movie for it. Yeah. I did have some stuff on my
ahead
high-end list that since we're talking about Jim Henson, there's a documentary on Disney Plus called Jim Henson Idea Man.
I haven't watched that yet. I want to.
That's in my top 30 this year. Really great. They show a lot of stuff, not just his puppet work. They show a lot of his actual like filmmaking that he made.
Yes, yeah.
And that's stuff you can't see anywhere. So I really enjoyed that one. Documentaries tend to, especially when you have the family or the person on board, they're watered down. They don't get to the root of things. They definitely unlike the Christopher Reeve documentary,
which is it's on my didn't see but want to list.
Unlike that documentary, they get into the dark side of Henson, and where the Reeve family, I think, wanted to leave it be, because they definitely spell out where they could have gone with that and show what they could have done with that. Henson lets them do it, so kudos to that. So yeah, that's really strong Ron Howard documentary.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'll definitely have to make sure. Speaking of documentaries, that actually got to, because I think that's all of the like feature films. Documentary that came out that went straight to streaming, but I think was amazing. Did you get to see Casa, Bonita, Mi Amor?
Have never even heard of it.
So it's the documentary about Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Oh, okay. So I guess I sort of have heard of it then.
Yeah, it's because anyone who watches South Park, they know that there's, they mentioned this restaurant named Casa Bonita in South Park. It's an actual place. It's like it's a Mexican themed restaurant / like adventure thing. It was built in the 60s. It was literally took up a whole strip mall. Like it was this huge thing with like caves you could go through and people diving off cliffs and everything. And it had really gone into disarray over the past like 25, 30 years. And basically they were shuttering and they owed the state money. And Matt and Trey came in and said, let's just fucking buy it and bring it back to what it used to be. And they did. And it's Casa Bonita, Mi Amor is the whole year to 16 months or whatever that it took for them to basically tear it down to the stems and rebuild it from the ground up because it needed so much fucking work. Like they originally planned, like, because I think they paid $3 million for the place because they paid like the back taxes and stuff, and they planned on only putting in like 3.5 or 4 million, and they ended up putting in like 15 million.
Well, they got to do something with their vast array of wealth.
Yeah. But it's really worth it. It's a feel good documentary, but it's just it's really good to see these guys basically take a place that was part of their childhood and bring it back for future generations just because they wanted to.
Now that you mentioned what it's about and everything, I was aware of it. So yeah. I would definitely watch that, especially because they released a documentary, I think a decade ago, where they show the making of South Park, and that was fantastic. So yeah, I would watch. Yeah, I'd definitely watch any of that. Okay. So I guess I do have a couple things here that I didn't touch on at all. I'll just go through quickly. Another huge surprise of the year for me was a biopic / documentary called Piece by Piece. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
It's producer Pharrell Williams.
Oh, okay.
And it's told in Lego form. And at first I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why are they doing it in Lego form? And then when you watch the movie, it absolutely makes all the sense in the world why they did it this way. First and foremost, his wife wouldn't go on camera unless they did it that way. So that's sort of partly why I think he went through that way. But he also visualizes music in colors, like a lot of people who are prodigies of music actually talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So that in effect makes it really work. And plus, because some of it is like talking head documentary where you're just like, you're the person sitting there.
Right.
It's really interesting and different and like cool to see like Jay-Z and Gwen Stefani as a Lego character. And Snoop Dogg. It's Snoop Dogg, and they can't show like joints because it's a kid's movie. So it's like he'll have like a piece of like twig in his mouth or something. So I was really, really surprised by Piece. I recommend it to anybody because families can watch it. I think they swear once, like the one they're allowed to do while being whatever. They get that one in there. But yeah, really, really good. It'll be on Peacock at some point. So
okay.
There's a movie. We talk about A24. Did you see Love Lies Bleeding?
I did not. That's one of the A24 ones that slipped through my fingers this year.
So great performances from Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien. You should definitely check that out. You'll if you like A24, you'll eat it up. It's really good. There's also a foreign film that's advertised as out Finchering Fincher, and while I don't think it technically does that, I really loved it. It's called Red Rooms. That's what the English title is. It's partly
that sounds familiar.
It's part in English, part in it's French Canadian. It's at times a courtroom drama, but it's not, because it's about people who are obsessed with people on trial, and then it gets into dark web stuff, and it's like really, really interesting. Yeah, I loved it. It's a pretty good payoff at the end. So Red Rooms, it'll be on Shudder next week.
Oh, then okay, perfect.
And just a couple more here. I just want to touch on the Glenn Powell of it all this year. Glenn Powell. I really like Twisters, even though it's not high up on my list. I did like that. The movie I have high up is Hitman on Netflix, which is the Richard Linklater directed film that no one wanted to make, so Linklater had to make it himself and then sold it to Netflix. But I know a lot of people have seen that, so I just wanted to just like touch on it quickly. And I will say the funniest movie of the year for me is on Amazon Prime Video, and it's called Snack Shack. And not a lot of people...
I was gonna get to that, and I didn't, because I have it on the drive. Oh shit!
I think it's the funniest pure comedy of the year. Really good. It's a little bit caked in nostalgia, but in that good way, like not overly battering it over your head, just enough to where you say, "Yeah, I was there. That was rad." So definitely. Oh, and it stars the guy who plays Lorne Michaels from Saturday Night.
Okay.
So definitely check out that. And a couple more here. I'm one of the people that thoroughly enjoy the movie that is very divisive and also winning awards. That is the trans Mexican cartel gangster musical Emilia Pérez. It's winning awards. It will continue to win awards, and also people scratch their head as to why it's winning awards. It's not for everybody. It's a wild one, but for some reason I finished it and said, okay, like I'm on board. That was pretty damn good. Zoe Saldana, probably with her best career performance, and she won the Golden Globe, and her speech went quickly off the rails. So you might see more of that from Zoe soon.
Okay.
And then lastly, a movie that's on a streaming service called Mubi that the Substance is also on, so some people might have it or fired up a trial. Daisy Ridley, when she doesn't do Star Wars, is quickly becoming one of my most favorite and interesting actresses. She's in a movie called Sometimes I Think About Dying, which is...
I heard of that.
It's dour at times, and it's stuck in monotony of daily life a lot of the runtime also, but I thought it was so just real that it just really... I loved it. I think she's great. She's also in a movie called Young Woman in the Sea, which is about the first woman to cross the English Channel, I believe.
Okay.
And yeah, like I write in every review that has a movie with Daisy Ridley. Keep taking those Star Wars checks if you're going to take this kind of stuff that pays nothing and is really interesting, because she's really, really fucking good. Yeah, I'm starting to love her quickly. She also has a movie out that came out this year. I think it came out this year. It's called Magpie, and I'm going to try and track that down as soon as I can also. So that's about it on anything that really doesn't have enough shine of its own.
Okay, because I know there's a few that were bigger releases I did not see, but I know you did last night. That kind of spawned this last night. You mentioned Furiosa.
Furiosa, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, box office victim. I don't know why, especially off of Fury Road, which was so widely loved. I don't know. I don't get it. I thought Furiosa is the best Mad Max movie when it comes to pure storytelling. It's the best one, because Fury Road is an action from beginning to end. Probably the best story wise film in the original trilogy is the second Mad Max. But this one, it's just you return to parts of the world. You see a couple new parts of the world. A ton of story. Chris Hemsworth, maybe his best performance as Dr. Dementis.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I really loved Furiosa. I don't know what happened there. Anya Taylor-Joy is one of my favorite actresses. Also, she's great. I don't know what happened, but it's still really good. Most people that I talk to all really like it. So I don't know where that went wrong, but hey, he's still.
I'm not sure. Like I said, like I told you last night, I have no interest in the newer Mad Max movies. Like
yeah, but I mean, a bunch of people did after Fury Road. So where do they all go? So I don't know.
Maybe it was the fact that it came out too late after Fury Road.
It's there's maybe a little bit of that, and then you say, well, Fury Road came out so far after Mad Max. Why did that do well? Well, who knows? But it also
the reason that did well is because it was a legacy sequel, and legacy sequels were big at the time.
Yeah, and also Furiosa, it doesn't have Charlize Theron, so it's like, okay, it's bringing back the character everybody loved from Fury Road, but it's not the same actress, and it's like, and I don't know. I mean, I also don't think Anya Taylor-Joy is bringing people to a theater at this point still in her career. I mean, people flocked to watch Netflix to see Queen's Gambit, but no one has banged the box office drum for The Menu or anything else. The Northman of all things. No, I mean, no one saw it.
The Menu was one of those. It's slowly gaining more of a following now since dropping on streaming and more word of mouth. But yeah.
I mean, listen, there's a reason. There's a reason that like Robert Eggers has a huge movie in theaters now, and The Northman was so lackluster at the box office. They had it on Peacock within like 10 days. It's like, it's an original property. It didn't have like people that bring you to a theater, and even though it was fucking awesome, it's like, it's tough to find an audience when there's not much of a promotional boost. So.
Yeah. I know another big movie that came out this year that I did not watch, I don't know if you did, was Bad Boys Ride or Die.
No, I haven't seen Bad Boys. I don't even think I've seen Bad Boys 2. So that's something I'd have to. Yeah, I know the hot fuzz of it all. I know I should.
Yeah, exactly.
but bad. I know I saw Bad Boys in the theater, definitely with friends. I don't think I saw the second one. If I did, I rented it at some point. I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I didn't see the third one, so it came to me. Am I gonna go see Bad Boys Ride or Die? If I'm doing that, I'm watching 3 more movies before I go. And I'm just not going to invest the time in that. Now, I will say, I listened to some people review Bad Boys Ride or Die. Let me tell you 2 things about Bad Boys Ride or Die. Yep. If they knew they were getting a 4th movie, the 3rd movie should have been called Ride or Die, and the 4th movie should be called For Life.
Exactly. You're right.
So right there, they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But apparently, Bad Boys Ride or Die has like ghost elements or supernatural stuff going on, and I'm like, what?
I mean, the only thing I saw was because Joe Pantoliano's character gets killed off in the previous movie, and in this one, there's like he leaves behind like cell phone videos of like, if you're seeing this, I'm dead.
I don't know. It was described to me. There's some supernatural things going on, and I'm like, what? And it actually, that stuff sounded so crazy. It made me want to watch it. So at some point, I might do a Bad Boys through and through and get it all done. But
all right. The new Godzilla versus the Godzilla X Kong movie that came out this year. I did not see that.
Yeah. Did you see Godzilla versus Kong?
No, that's why I hadn't watched this yet, because I still hadn't watched the one that came out in 2020. I
was gonna say, if you saw Godzilla versus Kong and you saw Godzilla X Kong, I mean, it's at this point, man. I mean,
and see, I kind of felt lost. I felt like I was missing something because I was a big fan of Monarch, the Apple TV series that came out that takes place in that universe.
Solid, yeah. I think at this point, if you want Godzilla, you should watch Godzilla -0. And have you seen that?
I have not yet.
Oh, okay.
And I have heard that it's like the quintessential amazing new Godzilla movie. Like,
that's
if you don't watch anything else, like it's like it's Toho's best one since Shin Godzilla is.
Yeah. That's what you should watch if you're gonna devote any time to it. I mean, I don't listen. I mean, these American Godzilla movies now they're fun, like, and they fight, but there's not much substance to them. I thought the best Godzilla American version was King of the Monsters, which a lot of people don't think, but I did as a person.
Yeah, the one with actually had Mothra and Ghidorah and shit. Yeah, that was fucking great.
Like my dad was a big Godzilla guy, and like that's the movie he would have wanted. You know what I mean? Like he would have probably fallen asleep and been like the first one with Bryan Cranston, whatever, like, you know, but like he would have loved King of the Monsters. So even though, you know, the human characters in that movie, you don't care, but give me all the classic monsters.
Yeah. So there were 2 other big releases this year that we didn't touch on. I know I did not see, but I'm not sure. I know one of them you did, one of them I'm not sure. Did you watch Fallout?
On TV?
Not Fallout. Sorry, not Fallout. Borderlands.
Oh yeah, awful.
Yeah, I was never going to bother with it from the first moment I saw the trailer, and they had Fox on the Run during the trailer, and I was like, they're trying to make Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, yep, they did. They tried, they failed. It sucks. I have so many questions. Why did Kate Blanchett want to be in the movie?
Right, especially because isn't that character supposed to be like a teenager, and Jamie Lee Curtis plays her mom, but they're only like Jamie Lee Curtis is only like 8-9 years older than her.
Listen, the whole movie is completely miscast. The director is miscast. I don't know why he's directing it.
Is that Eli Roth, right?
Is Eli Roth?
Yeah, like that's not an Eli Roth property. Like
none of it makes any sense. I think the only good part, the only well-casted part was Jack Black. He plays like the robot's voice. You know, he's into a lot of voice work these days.
Right.
I mean, is it the worst movie I've ever seen? No, but in a time where video game adaptations are finally good, like Fallout on TV, like the Mario Brothers movie, like The Last of Us, like Sonic.
Yeah,
they've finally figured these things out. In Borderlands is a complete
Borderlands 90s. Was a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff that they threw the same played out chosen one story time into.
I also heard that. Did you see the movie Tar that Kate Blanchett won awards for?
I have not.
Okay, good movie, very good movie. I heard that she filmed Borderlands before Tar.
Wow.
Tar came out 2 years ago.
That's one of those. It's one of those. It was in the can, and they waited. Back. I remember specifically back in the day, there was this god awful fucking horror movie I went and saw in the theater, and the theater was packed, and it was this fucking movie called Darkness. Terrible fucking movie, but Anna Paquin was in it.
Okay,
and this is when she was still riding high from the X-Men movies. Now it turns out, yes, she was in this. She had filmed that 4 years prior, and it sat on the shelf, and they waited for her to be popular from X-Men to go, here you go.
Yeah, that similarly happened to there was a shark movie that Mandy Moore filmed called like 47 Meters Down.
Oh, yes.
And they had it like on a shelf, and then that movie with Blake Lively came out, The Shallows or whatever, where she fights a shark or whatever. I didn't see either of these movies, but then they said, okay, we have this shark movie that's kind of similar. We're gonna put it out, and people liked it. So it actually got a sequel, I'm pretty sure, because it was actually good. I don't know. I think they just didn't have the money to get it released. It wasn't that it was bad, that it was just sitting. It was just like, we can't get it out. We can't pay the money to get it released. But then they were like, all right, now we can get the money to get it released because this was a hit. So
I actually have a pretty decent sharksploitation collection on the drive.
Before you start, do you know that there's a documentary about sharksploitation movies?
Yeah, it came out on Shudder last year.
Okay, yeah, it's the guys that do the best movies never made podcast that I talked about.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was actually because of them talking about it that I was like, I've got enough. I just got to curate this collection, so I've got it. Because there was actually it was a sharksploitation movie that came out in 2024 that I didn't get a chance to watch, but I really fucking need to. It's called Graveyard Shark.
Oh no. And you can watch Graveyard Shark and Big Shark, double feature.
I am waiting for the day there's a streaming version of Big Shark that I can watch. I'm waiting for that so much.
Just order the Blu-ray and some boxers from Tommy.
He hasn't released the Blu-ray yet because he keeps changing the movie. He's doing a tour of it where he does showings, but he keeps changing the cut in between.
No, Tommy Wiseau would never change.
Exactly. Graveyard Shark came out this year, and there was one other. I'm waiting for it to drop somewhere, but they made Amityville Shark. I was like, I need to see it. I have to. It's got to be so fucking bad. It's good.
Oh, I don't have time for that.
Like literally, the poster is like the Dutch colonial house with the shark coming out of the fucking roof.
I don't have enough time for good movies, let alone.
Oh God. But the other movie that I know we did not talk about, and it's kind of like an elephant in the room at this point.
Okay.
Is that I didn't see, but I know you did, was Wicked, Part 1.
Yeah. Wicked Part 1, which is no longer called Wicked Part 2. More mind-numbing studio decisions. Again, I'm not a musical guy, but I really liked Wicked. I had seen the original run on Broadway by chance. I've only seen 2 Broadway shows. That was one of them, and it was the original cast, so that's kind of cool that I have that feather in the cap. But I didn't remember, like, oh, you're giving me a face. Did you?
I'll get to it. Don't worry.
No, I didn't remember the actual play itself. And when I first saw, and again, I don't watch trailers, but I saw like at AMC, instead of the Nicole Kidman thing, it was either the Nicole Kidman thing or the stay off your cell phone thing.
Yeah.
They had like a Wicked tie-in.
Yeah.
And they had a few scenes of Ariana Grande, and she's doing like, it's not slapstick, it's like hammy, like comedy. And I'm like, is this what the play was? Because I don't remember it.
No.
And I texted my theater director from high school, Lisa, and I know she sees tons of Broadway. Lisa Carroll.
Okay.
And I know she sees tons of Broadway plays, and she's probably seen Wicked on Broadway like 10 times or something. She posts when she has the playbill in her hands, and she goes to NYC all the time. And I said, Lisa, I have to ask you a question. I saw some clips of Ariana Grande in Wicked, and is that the humor from the play? Because I don't remember it one way or the other. It's been 20 years. And she said, oh, no, that is absolutely the humor in the play. That is exactly what Christian Chenoweth did with the play. And I said, okay. So I think it's a really well staged movie. The choreography and the musical numbers is really good. I'm failing to grasp why people are so surprised of how good Cynthia Erivo is in this movie, because Cynthia Erivo is fucking great. I mean, has anybody ever seen one of her movies? Like,
right.
She's amazing. She's continually amazing.
Yeah.
Why I'm pounding the drum for Ariana Grande is like, that's the unexpected thing to me. Now people tell me, well, you know, she was an actress. She was on Disney Channel. Okay, well, great. You were on Disney Channel, but
you're a child actor. It's
you're
not
a child.
Same.
Like, I don't give a shit if you were funny as a kid. Like, so was the Olsen twins. They don't even act anymore. So it's like, you know, so Ariana Grande is unbelievable in this movie. Not just singing, because I know she's a singer. She's a tremendous comedic actor. I hope they start casting her in comedies, straight comedies. I'll go see any of them. Put her in one with John Cena. Let's go. Let's go. But yeah, so Wicked, not my favorite movie. Again, right in that average score, but yeah, enjoyable. I could watch Ariana Grande again. I'd watch it again just for her. Probably would tap out after one more viewing, but that's about,
Yeah. So I haven't watched Wicked yet, and I know I have a chance to now. I'm a bit apprehensive about it. Not because of I'm worried about it. It's I've got it dredges up bad memories. So little backstory was back in 2007, there was this girl I was dating. It was one of those, we kind of went too fast. We were dating for a few months, and then because of situations, we both ended up needing a new place. So we got a place together.
I know the story.
Yeah. And at the time, there's this married couple that I was friends with. I don't speak to anymore for other reasons, but this was back then. This was 2007. And the wife was obsessed with Wicked, and I was like, yeah, I'd really like to see that. So the girl I was dating for Christmas bought me and her tickets, 7th row, to see Wicked on Broadway, the original cast. And the other couple, Brian and Fiona, bought the tickets next to us. So all 4 of us could have a night, and it's, we had to buy them way in advance. So it was actually happening in May. So it was actually, she bought them for me for Christmas, but it was happening the month of my birthday. So it was going to be like a dual present, which I was like, that's completely fine. Except for in February, she up and fucking walked out on me. Like quite literally. And this is like I literally told this girl that one of my biggest fears in the world is walking into the door, coming home from work one day, and that the person who I was with has just packed up all their shit and has left with no fucking trace.
Oof.
Guess what she fucking did to me?
Oof.
Yeah.
She could have left you the ticket.
That's just what gets to it. So May comes, and my close fucking friends who were like, yeah, she fucked you over. Fuck her. Do you think they still went?
Oh,
they still went, and they're like, yeah, we didn't see her. There were 2 empty seats next to us. Fuck you.
2 empty seats.
Yeah, mine and hers.
Yeah, but she didn't sell them or go or my god.
No, but still, like, bro, fuck you. So then, like, for then on, then I was just like, I don't know if I ever want to see this shit ever. And then a year and a half later, a friend of mine's a karaoke host. I used to pick up karaoke shifts here and there. And that was when the Wicked catalog had dropped for the fucking karaoke catalogs all over the place. And so there was this group of people who were every fucking week for like 3 months were doing the songs from Wicked. Oh. And it just became so graining and so fucking annoying. So it was the combination of those two things where I was like, I don't fucking care if I ever watch this. And then they're like, they're making a movie. That's great. But now everyone's raving about the fucking movie. And I'm like, should I? I'm like, it's been 15 years. Like,
well, I give it a recommend to people, especially people who like musicals. But if you have your own baggage, I don't know.
Yeah, like there's some baggage there.
Oh man, too much.
Yeah. So that's why I haven't actually gotten around to watching it. But yeah, The First Omen, did you get a chance to watch that?
No,
Me neither. I want to. It just did. It slipped through my fingers from the beginning.
haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on my not seen list. The couple other ones I haven't seen yet that I've heard amazing things about. Arcadian, the Nicolas Cage movie.
Don't
Have
know.
you? Oh, it from the trailer, it feels kind of like a 28 Days Later type survivalist, but it's Nicolas Cage and his two sons holed up in a house. So not 28 Days Later. I Am Legend.
Okay.
Like
yeah,
it kind of feels like that.
Somehow that one slipped by me.
Yeah, I think it's on Shudder currently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you said you saw it. Abigail.
Yep.
Was it enjoyable?
Good movie. Completely ruined by the trailer. So
I haven't watched the trailer, so
there you go.
thanks for the
Perfect.
heads up.
Don't watch the trailer and enjoy Abigail. Dan Stevens is terrific. I actually will say Dan Stevens was also great in Godzilla X Kong. So as long as Dan Stevens is in a movie, I can watch it and it gets something out. Dan Stevens is really great. So
another movie that I know has been getting rave reviews from horror fans that I haven't had the time to watch yet is Stop Motion.
I liked it. The stop motion in particular. The rest of it, okay, but the stop motion parts of it, very, very good. In fact, I don't know if the director must have experience in stop motion. They could probably just stick to that.
Yeah.
Did you see Mad God from 2 years ago?
I haven't because I had no interest in seeing it.
If you like stop motion, it's.
I like stop motion, but I remember Mark was all like, you got to watch this. And I was like, I don't feel like watching a 2-hour Tool video.
Oh, you told me that. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong in that it is sort of like a 2-hour Tool video. It's just pretty fascinating because Tippett had been making it over the span of like 30 years or something. And it's like,
yeah, because stop motion takes for fucking effort.
But you also can't even tell that like part of it is 30 years old. It's just very,
right.
It's crazy. But
yeah.
I don't know. I recommend it, but I understand it. You're
Yeah.
not wrong. You're not far off with the Tool vibe.
Yeah. I hadn't get a chance to see Sting, although I wanted to.
No, I just saw that it's on one of the streaming. I think it's
on Shudder.
Yeah. Oh, it's on one of them, but yeah, I haven't seen it.
But yeah, but like, because I know some people have been saying it's like, there's not enough like killer spider movies. Like everyone thinks Arachnophobia, but apparently this is supposed to be as good. So,
right.
Did you see Immaculate?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it?
Pretty good. Sydney Sweeney is fantastic in it. Part of the it probably could be a lot shorter of a movie, but I think they must have filmed it. I don't know if they actually filmed it in Italy or where, but they've got some great locations, which the stuff looks absolutely beautiful. So at least you get that. Narratively, it's a little thin, but yeah, Sweeney's amazing in that movie.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah. It was just one of those time constraint ones I hadn't gotten to. There's also 3 movies that are like in the realm of ridiculous horror that I just didn't get around to watching, but I'm still going to watch them. The first one's called The Most Atrocious Thing. Indie horror movie about a bunch of guys who go on a hunting trip and they end up shooting a deer and they eat the meat, but the meat's tainted by a virus, so they all start going nuts.
So
it's like Mad Cow but Mad Deer. Yeah.
Here we go.
The next one is Destroy All Neighbors.
I haven't heard of that either. No.
That's starring Jonah Ray, the guy who does the newer seasons of Mystery Science Theater 3000 that were on Netflix.
Okay.
It's basically he ends up like he's got a neighbor from hell who he ends up accidentally killing, and then the ghost of the neighbor keeps fucking with them and shit. Kind of like that, kind of the weird off the wall horror. And then the last one, which because I wanted to watch it because I was just like, I saw the title and I went, this is going to look terrible. But then I saw who was in it, and I saw that even like on all the aggregate sites, it's still actually getting reviewed really well by people, not just critics, is The Invisible Raptor. And it's Sean Astin is in it.
Oh, okay.
And it takes place in like a regular neighborhood, but basically the whole premise is there's a genetics zoo who were basically able to genetically clone a raptor and they made it invisible. And so it's a lot of like people fighting with nothing on screen. Like
fire it up. Yeah.
Like it looks bonkers, but everyone seems to be loving it. But yeah, those are, as far as feature films, those are the ones I haven't seen, but haven't. And there's a handful of documentaries that came out this past year, which I think are really worth watching. Besides Casa Bonita that I mentioned. Stormy, the Stormy Daniels one that came out on Peacock, highly worth watching. Because I completely forgot like some of the shit she went through. Like I want to try to leave as much politics out of this as possible, but she went through a lot of shit, and it's featured well in the documentary. Another one that came out, it dropped on HBO Max. That's a lot of fun and really great. Is Yacht Rock, a documentary.
Yeah, I've toyed with watching it.
It's great. It's great, especially because I was one of the guys for years who, because they mention the old web series Yacht Rock that was done by this small group of friends as like these little 10-minute comedy sketches back in the early 2000s. And I used to like tell everyone about it because that's where the term came from.
Mm-hmm.
And they start off the documentary referencing that right away. I'm like, oh, thank God. And they have the guys who acted in it talking about it because that was, and you can find all of the episodes because they're like 12 minutes long on YouTube now. So you can go back because the shit's hilarious. It's like every time, like, because like it's these guys, like, they don't even look like the musical artists they're trying to play, which just makes it even more hilarious. But like, there's a whole thing because like it starts off like it's supposedly the timeline, and it starts off like 2 weeks after Loggins and Messina have broken up, so Kenny Loggins can start his solo career, and so like. All of these scenes are like they walk into a back alley and there's Jimmy Messina sitting there like all disheveled with a fucking bottle in a bag, and they come by and Kenny's like, "Hey Jimmy, fuck you, Loggins!" Like every episode.
Too much.
So yeah, but yeah, Yacht Rocket documentary is very worth watching. Also, something came out. I think it's on Netflix. Outstanding: A Comedy Revolution. It's about this. It's about an LGBTQ comedy showcase that happened at the Hollywood Amphitheater like 2 years ago, with all of these out entertainers from all these generations. It's really good because it gives a really good retrospective. Lily Tomlin's in it. Fortune Femster's in it. Todd Glass, who I did not know was gay, is in it. And he actually talks about it in it where he's like, yeah, I came, like it took so long for me to come out. And I was like, I never knew. Holy shit. But it's well worth watching. Where am I here? I don't know if many people know this, but Food Inc. Part 2 came out in 2024.
I think I saw that. It did. Yeah.
It's very different from the first, but very same. If you get my drift. Because I mean that was a groundbreaking documentary when it came out, the first one, and this one covers a lot more of like what America's like post-pandemic. And it's as informative and as insightful, so it packs a good 1-2 punch. It's good to see that the same documentary maker has not lost his stride as some do in later years. So definitely on my list of things you should watch. 2 horror documentaries that came out that are both like 4 hours long each, but worth it. Doc of Chucky.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Which was because they had just done another documentary, I think in 2023 or 2022 or 23 called Living with Chucky, with Brad Dourif and all that, which was good on its own. But that was only like an hour and a half, hour and 45. This being 4 hours, just boom.
Now I'm pretty sure Doc of Chucky is 4 hours and 55 minutes.
Oh, so it's 5 hours. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Because when I saw it, I said, "What? Why isn't this a 6-episode series? Like, break it up for people." But
because the thing is, ever since Creator VC did the first couple In Search of Darkness documentaries, now people are really, they don't mind sitting down for a 4.5 hour documentary if it keeps your attention. But it's because like all the In Search of Darknesses are good. Also, I actually started before Creator VC because I remember back in the day, Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy, that one was over 4 hours long, and Crystal Lake Memories was 7 hours long. the Friday the 13th one.
At the end of the day, you can always press pause and go back.
Yeah, but the other one that just dropped is Aliens Expanded.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's I put it on the drive. It's it's going into, and it's literally just covering mostly like 90% covering just James Cameron's Aliens. And it's 4.5 hours long. I'm like, the actual movie is only like an hour and 45.
That's like the RoboCop documentary that I watched. It's the RoboCop I think is 90 minutes or 100 minutes, and the documentary is 4 hours.
Yeah, or Making of the Frighteners, which you can actually find on YouTube. Like the Frighteners, great movie. Peter Jackson did a making of. It's 6 hours long.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then one other documentary I wanted to mention that kind of slipped through the cracks, but it's well worth watching, and it's depressing as fuck. The Conqueror, Hollywood Fallout. Have you heard of it?
Nope.
So The Conqueror was the last movie John Wayne did.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was filmed in the area that was too close to where they did the Trinity testing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, everyone who worked on it got fucking cancer. That's how John Wayne got cancer. I mean, on top of being a smoker, but that's like the radiation was what caused his cancer to just be like, you're dead. Yeah.
Yeah. You said depressing. Yep.
Very depressing. Informative as shit. And especially if you, but I mean, like, I think as far as like, especially if you like watching documentaries about old Hollywood, like it's rough, but it is worth it.
Bummer.
Yeah. But yeah, that was everything that I think that, yeah. Oh, one quick thing. Did you know that they released an ultimate cut of Caligula in 2024?
I did. Yes, I did. I've never seen Caligula. I would probably watch the ultimate cut first.
Definitely you should, because so Helen Mirren was in Caligula, but you wouldn't know it if you watched the original, because they basically cut almost everything she did out. They added all that back into the ultimate cut, so it was worth watching.
Yeah, I'm familiar with some of the history of Caligula. I know the producer wanted it to basically be a porn, basically at the end of the day. So he put all the sex in it and cut all the other stuff out. So.
Yeah. So the thing was, because Bob Guccione who owned Penthouse, was funding it.
Yep.
But the director wanted to actually do a serious movie, and so they had to compromise. And then what happened was, a lot like the Caligula that came out was Guccione added a lot of like sex scenes that didn't happen like into it, like they were happening in like the background. It was like cutaways of sex, like. But yeah, because I remember the original Caligula. It's a very well done movie. I think it's one of Malcolm McDowell's unsung like masterclasses.
Yeah, that's why I've always been like, I'd always heard, like, my parents would make jokes about Caligula when I was a kid, and I'm like, what is Caligula? Yeah. And then like then I was like, oh, it's like it's a movie, but it's like a porno kind of. Okay, cool. And then like when I actually got more into movies like I am now, I would look at the IMDb and I'm like, wait a minute, Malcolm McDowell is in Caligula. Yep. Like the Malcolm McDowell. Like, yeah. So yeah. So yeah. I would definitely watch that.
I was at a con once, and McDowell was there. I got him to sign some of my stuff. I got some pictures with him, but he did a Q&A, and I asked him. I got to ask him a question about Caligula, because there was this one scene. There's this one scene in Caligula where basically like there's a guard who was not doing his job, so Malcolm McDowell comes over, and the premise is that they tie up his junk so his bladder is closed, and they fill his gullet full of wine, and then he stabs him, and it's just everything bursts out. That's the effect that's supposed to happen. But what happened was the effect was, they had this like plastic bladder full of wine and chicken livers and stuff that was underneath the armor plate that he was supposed to pierce it. Done. And I was just like, I heard there was a mishap and there was a bad take, and he was like, it was like the first time, because I forget who it is that was on set with him for it. I think it might be Peter O'Toole. I'm not sure. But it was another like more famous British actor who wasn't taking it seriously and was drunk as fuck when they were shooting the scene. And so McDowell goes to stab the bladder and he misses, but he cuts the strap that's holding it. So the bladder just falls out and bounces away.
Oh.
And I think it was, like I said, I think it was Peter Tooley just turned, like, well, the old cunt fucked up. And I just always love that story.
Gotta love the Brits.
Yeah. But so that is all the movies that came out. But we did want to add one last thing, and that's movies coming out in 2025 that may be piquing some of our interests. So you go ahead first, because I've got a handful, but I think some of us are gonna match up for us.
Really looking forward to Ryan Coogler's Sinners. With
that was with Michael B. Jordan. Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan. I think Haley Steinfeld's in that movie too. So
that looks amazing.
Big fan of her. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Mickey 17. If David Zaslav ever decides he wants it to come out, kicking that can down the road, David. It's not going to change anything. I mean, if you have to give me, do I give the benefit of the doubt to Bong Joon-ho, who just won an Oscar for Parasite, the first, non-English movie to win Best Picture in forever, or first one ever. I
think it was his first one ever.
So, do I trust that guy or David fucking Zaslav? I think I trust the director on that one. So Mickey 17, looking forward to. After John Wick 3, I kind of was like off of John Wick. I was kind of like, that's kind of enough already. John Wick 4 was really, really great, and they had a couple side characters that are probably going to end up getting spinoffs and doing some cool things. But
I've never watched a John Wick. I've never watched a John Wick movie.
Okay, yeah, they're good, but they have one spinoff coming out called Ballerina with Ari de Armas. What's her name?
Ari de Armas.
Aria de Armas, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got one coming out, and she's not in John Wick, any of the John Wicks, but she's the star of this. But if you saw the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die, which you might have or might not have seen,
I have not. She
was the best part of the new James Bond, and she was only in it for like 15 minutes. She meets Bond as another agent, and they have to do like a quick assignment, and they get into like the action sequence and the fight and blah blah blah. She was great. She was like the best. Like I said, I thought she was the best part of it. So I'm looking forward to that, just because she can expand off that, be pretty great. There's like Kendrick Lamar and Matt Trey and
I saw something about that. It's untitled. They don't know what, but
It's written by the guy who was the co-creator of Wonder Chosen. Have you ever seen Wonder Chosen before?
I remember Wonder Chosen.
One of my favorites.
He drank the imagination juice.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorites. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. There's 2 Frankenstein movies, technically.
Yes. Yeah, there are.
Del Toro's Frankenstein and Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. So
right.
They should be cool. One of them is for Netflix. I don't remember which one. I think the Frankenstein one is.
The Gyllenhaal. No, Del Toro is supposed to get a theatrical release.
Okay, so maybe it's the Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
one.
I think it's the Gyllenhaal.
Okay, and then there's a new Running Man.
Running Man's on my list. Yeah, because it follows the Stephen King story way more to the T than this Arnold movie did.
Yeah, and they just announced that Coleman Domingo is the game show host. So yeah. I'm pretty pumped for that because he's tremendous.
Yes,
there's a guy who needs to be getting higher profile work, even though he's great in everything he's in. He just needs some big time stuff.
Yeah,
he's actually playing Michael Jackson's dad in the Michael movie.
I was going to mention the Michael movie.
Interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, especially because it's Jermaine's son playing Michael.
I don't know what to think about Michael Jackson at this point.
I know it's a touchy subject. But...
the problem is just the unknown of it all is the problem.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It just muddies it. It muddies it all even more. So,
Right. Plus, I always look at I understand it's going to follow more of his solo life because the miniseries that came out in the 90s, The Jacksons: A Family Legacy, I still think is a masterpiece.
And then there's some stuff that's lesser known that I'm kind of looking for. We talked about the monkey briefly.
The monkey's on my list. Yep.
The last episode. There's something called Love Hurts.
Starring
Ki Hugh Kwan.
Yeah.
And it's from the makers of Nobody, which is also getting a sequel this year.
Yeah.
So
I just saw the trailer for Hard Eyes.
Oh,
and all I could think of was the old Vine, Hard Eyes, motherfucker.
I saw the poster for Hard Eyes, but I didn't see the trailer.
Yeah, it's a slasher flick where a guy's wearing a mask where it's got hard eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't you give some that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I'm looking at my list of what you haven't touched on yet. There's a movie coming out the end of this month that I saw the trailers for. It worries me because it's a January release, but at the same time, it's intriguing me, and that's Presence. Just because it's a haunted house movie directed by Steven Soderbergh.
Yep.
So I'm like, I got to give it a chance. I like Soderbergh.
You got to throw out the January stuff a little bit. This is in particular this year because it seems like they backloaded December so much for awards this season,
right?
That like the stuff coming out in January is like today, like The Last Showgirl. Yeah. They did it for awards.
The Wolfman come out this month.
Wolfman's coming out this month, and I almost mentioned it because Invisible Man was really good. Invisible Man came out at the beginning of the year. The year it came out, I don't think it came out.
I thought Invisible Man dropped in like March or April.
Yeah, I think it came out in March.
Okay, yeah,
but still early enough. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, early year is a hit or miss, but January's always been the month where they dump shit to die.
Usually,
for the most part.
Yeah, but like next weekend, like The Brutalist gets wide released, and it's it probably is likely to be like one or two contender to win the Best Picture. So it's like
yeah. I'm definitely interested in seeing Companion.
Yeah, I heard don't watch the trailer if you don't want the whole movie ruined for you.
I mean, I already watched the trailer, so that's
all I heard from people. I don't know.
I know it's Jack Quaid, and it's apparently Sophie it's a lot like Ex Machina.
Okay, yeah, Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid.
Yeah, big one that I'm really interested in is 28 Years Later.
Yep. You're gonna get. Wait. No. Okay. Yeah. The second one comes out next year.
Yeah, this is part of a new trilogy.
For some reason, I thought both parts were coming out this year, and it's not.
They just filmed both parts.
Yeah, and then Boyle just got confirmed to film the third. He's directing the third movie.
Yeah, well, I thought he directed this one too.
He directed the first one and the third one.
Yeah, this is the third one. He's directing that, and I thought I think they shot 3 and 4 at the same time.
Okay, so no, so I'm.
The only one he didn't direct was 28 weeks later. That was the Spanish guy.
When I say first and third, I mean the new trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So he's directing this movie, which is the first
3 and 5.
3 and 5.
Yeah.
Nia DaCosta, who directed the Candyman movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and directed the Marvels. She's doing the second one.
I'm cool with that.
It's called The Bone something. The Bone.
Not The Bone Collector.
No, the Bone something. Yeah. The Bone Temple. The Bone Temple.
Bone Temple. Okay. Another one that A24 release coming out, Death of a Unicorn.
Yep.
Yeah, it's because Paul Rudd.
Looking forward.
Paul Rudd doing A24 is going to be interesting. Yep. And let me see here. Covered that. Final Destination Bloodlines actually has piqued my interest.
I haven't seen those for so long, but
so I think it's just I think this was the last role that Tony Todd filmed, along with filming Stream, before he died, because that's the whole thing is Tony Todd had a recurring character in some of the Final Destination movies, Mr. Bloodworth, who is basically a coroner. And I guess this was his last role that he filmed. It's supposed to tie shit more together. Because for the most part, I absolutely hated the first Final Destination movie, but I loved the sequels. Except I don't think I've actually sat down and watched part 5, and I know it's a prequel, but I like all the others I saw in the theater and loved them just because I love the cinematic Rube Goldbergness of the way everyone gets killed. I love figuring that shit out while I'm watching in the theater. I'm like, okay, this, it's just, it gives me a little bit of joy. But yeah, that's all the 2025 movies I had listed that I'm interested in. I mean, besides obviously the MCU movies we mentioned yesterday, like those are my big ones for the year. That yeah,
I have one that I remembered as we covered on the podcast, Teen Spirit, and
Yep.
I try and always fail to pronounce Max Minghela's name correctly.
Max Minghella.
Max Minghella. His follow-up called Shell releases this year, starring Elizabeth Berkley, Kate Hudson, Elizabeth Moss, Kaya Gerber, and Mary Lynn Rajkub, which I always also get her name.
Oh wow!
It also features S.D. Haim, one of the sisters of the Haim music group.
Nice.
Not the one that acted in the lead role in Licorice Pizza, but one of the other ones, because the whole Haim family is in Licorice Pizza, parents included. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
There's also there's supposed to be a Paul Thomas Anderson movie this year, but it might get pushed to 2026.
Paul Thomas, he did one in 2024 that I didn't watch. What was it here? Let me pull it up. I know
his last movie was Licorice Pizza.
Then what am I? Hold on. Let me pull it up. I have it right here. That is Paul Thomas Anderson, right? Oh, sorry, Wes Anderson. My bad.
Oh, Wes Anderson. You're talking about
Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and three more.
Wonderful, yeah, and well, those are all short. You could probably plow through those quickly.
Yeah, it's an anthology. It's Benedict Cumberbatch. It's one of the 2024 movies I didn't get to.
I think like two of them are 20 minutes long, and one's 40, and the other one's like 90 minutes. So
yeah,
pretty quick. And then Asteroid City came out the year before. I think did Asteroid City come out this year or the year before? Now I can't even remember. But Paul Thomas Anderson, his new movie is supposed to star Leonardo DiCaprio. And
okay.
I'm like, yep, I'll watch any Paul Thomas Anderson. I only need to see. It's so funny. I finally decided I would try to close my Paul Thomas Anderson blind spots. I only have two movies that I haven't seen: Phantom Thread and Hard 8. So I decided, I'm gonna watch Hard 8 tonight, but it was gone from Amazon. So I'm like, all right, let's check out Joe's Drive, and no Hard 8 on Joe's Drive. So
hold on.
Okay.
Hold on one moment. let me see if I can make your life easier. Let's see here. Hard 8. There it is.
Nice.
Give me about 20 minutes and it'll be on the drive.
There are some sequels this year that I'm like, no, I don't want to see.
Like
Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh God, that's part of Sandler's Netflix deal.
Yeah.
But I was just, and I'm like, why? Like it's like that Simpsons meme. Why now? Why not 25 years ago? Like
I don't mind Sandler's Netflix deal. That's fine. Make whatever you want. But why this? If you're gonna do that for Netflix, make Grandma's Boy 2 for Netflix. Like,
right.
Give me something I want to see.
Exactly. Like that. Happy Gilmore is like a standalone movie that doesn't need a sequel. No, like especially why are you and Shooter like getting pissed at each other again? Why?
It's not gonna be good. It's like, it's gonna just be the same kind of thing, and Sandler's he's gonna mail it in because like he does when he's not working with like Safdie brothers or good directors. He mails these things in.
Yeah.
God bless him. I mean, if I wouldn't turn down the paychecks either, but I mean,
true.
Just something else. Like I said, Grandma's Boy 2, it's right there. Like,
I'd be happy as shit with Grandma's Boy 2.
One of my favorite movies of 2022 was Past Lives, or was it 2023 Past Lives. Getting all my years mixed up, but that was made by Celine Song, her first written and directed movie, which is amazing for a first time effort. She has a movie coming out called Materialists with Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans. So definitely upped the star power considerably for her second movie.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But the other sequel I was not looking forward to was Where? I think I just lost it here.
Now,
Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, see, I liked the first Five Nights, and I was, because I think it's because I'm removed enough where I didn't play the games, but I know about the lore where I'm like, okay, let's see where they go with it.
Did you see the movie that's similar to it that stars Nicolas Cage?
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.
I have not, but I've still played it. There was actually a few knockoffs of it came out. There was the Willy's Wonderland, there was the Banana Splits movie, and there was one other. But yeah, I a lot of people say Willy's Wonderland was better than Five Nights.
Yes, I agree with that sentiment. So I would suggest you watch that. Yeah, I mean, Cage is, Cage on the other hand, for better or for worse, Cage never mails it in.
Oh yeah.
He gives it 100%. He gives it 100% no matter if he's in a piece of shit or not. So
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. What was it? You reminded me something popped into my head and I don't remember what it was. I think it was, did it have to do with Cage? No, it didn't have to do with Cage. I completely lost the train of thought. Where it was going. Yeah. You fucking derailed me.
You derailer.
Yeah. But yeah, I think because that was it as far as everything went. This we covered the stuff that we forgot to in the last one. We talked about what's coming up this year, stuff that we don't want to see that's coming up. What was that? Maybe that was it. I saw it was supposed to be like an untitled project from someone, and I said, why? It was one of those like
movies,
cash grab bullshit movies.
Stop
like
making movies, please.
Yeah, but yeah, and so we'll see what, and that's just like all I delved into was stuff that I know is coming out, like for the most part stuff that's coming out theater wise, like I as far as anything documentary wise or streaming wise, like everything's wide open, a bunch of stuff to drop,
things definitely just pop up a lot of the time. You're
like, right. Like I had I think it just dropped on Peacock, but I had it right before that I haven't watched yet is Night Bitch.
Yep. It's on Hulu. Yeah.
Not Peacock, Hulu. But yeah, with Amy Adams and it's a werewolf movie. Like I'm going to give that a shot.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
Yeah. Oh, was it not that?
No, it's not bad, but it's,
because I'm trying to remember there was this Peacock series that came out that I really loved season 1 and I started watching season 2, but I don't remember if I finished it. What the fuck is it? It takes place in Australia. It's got Josh Gad in it, where his girlfriend is a werewolf.
Yeah, it's called Wolf Like Me.
Wolf Like Me, yes. I can't believe
I watched both seasons. You know why I'm so interested in that show? What the writer is infatuated with Queens of the Stone Age.
Yes. I remember that.
And I'm trying to find interviews and get some sort of like, why is he doing this? And I don't get any information of it at all. Like, not just because the theme song is If I Had a Tail, which makes sense, but Isla Fisher talks up to Josh Gad's kid about like how Fortress from Queens of the Stone Age is like her favorite song. Like what? Like, and she's constantly listening to Queens of the Stone Age, and it's so weird. It's great. I'm a big fan of Queens of the Stone Age, but it's such a left field thing. Like this guy, does he know Josh Homme? Does he?
Who knows?
It's so weird. I used to listen to a television podcast, which was very inside baseball on the industry, and they would interview a person who ran a show every episode. And I asked the guy on Twitter, Dan Feinberg, he's the head critic at THR, before the podcast got dissolved because one of the two hosts got laid off from Hollywood Reporter, so that was the end of the podcast. But I asked Dan, I said, are you guys going to have the showrunner for Wolf Like Me on, because I need to find out what this whole Queens of the Stone Age angle is here. And he's like, no, we don't have it planned, but maybe if season 2 happens, maybe we will. and they didn't have him either. So So yeah, that's a really good show. There's a lot of unfortunately with the content that gets dropped so often and heavily on streaming services, things really get lost in the void, so to speak.
And then sometimes stuff just, it's like people find it and they like the first season and then they decide to do a second season and it's total ass. Like
it happens. It happens. I think a lot of that is another craze that is plaguing TV is the limited series craze.
Oh God, yeah.
And they say it's a limited series, and then it's like the biggest thing, and they're like, "Oh, season 2," and it's like, no, and they do it, and it's shit. And like Big Little Lies is the prime example.
Yeah, I was thinking of Killing It. Craig Robinson.
Was that a limited series though?
I don't think maybe it was. I don't remember.
But I think it was.
I remember it was like a standalone season, but it ended on a cliffhanger. Then they picked it up with a season 2, and I remember getting 2 episodes in and going, "This is fucking terrible," and shutting it off.
Yeah, I think season 2 rebounds at a certain point because of the way they told the story, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I watch too many things to remember every single thing. Unless I'm like totally like locked in and engaged on it, then like I can remember every single plot point. But I just remember, so my brother's a big Tim Heidecker fan, and I've gone to see him live because of it. I've only gone just to go with him, and but I like Tim too, but I'm not like my brother likes him. It's like totally different. But I got to actually talk to Tim Heidecker, and I told him how I was jealous that he's not only a hilarious person and a good dramatic actor, but he also can fucking play guitar and write songs, and fuck you for doing both, because that sucks. Like, give one of those 2 talents to somebody else, please. Like, I told him that in jest. I don't know if he loved it, but he did call me on stage twice. The two times that I've seen him, he does a bit where he says, anybody got one of those iWatches? And people raise their arm if they got an iWatch. And my brother, because he's in the Tim Heidecker club or whatever they pays for, the Patreon, whatever it is.
Oh, he's on his Patreon.
He's able to get like front row. Yeah, he's able to get like front row seats all the time at this thing. So like I'm right there, and I got the thing, and he's been like, "You get up here," and like he did it the first time, and it happened the second time we saw him. And I said to my brother after, I said, "Is there any possible chance he knows he already called me up before to do this?" He's like, "No, absolutely not." But yeah, so Tim Heidecker was whenever I see Tim Heidecker in a show, I say to my brother, like, "Oh, you didn't tell me Tim's in this," because he tells me a lot of Tim's factoids every day. And he talked about it. And because when I saw Y2K, I'm like, I texted him in the theater, or what? I'm like, because I was the only one in it. He's like, I'm like, you didn't tell me Tim's in Y2K. He's like, oh yeah, he talked about it a little bit. I'm like, I'm like, he goes, I don't think he's in it much, is he? I'm like, I don't know. I'm the movie's 5 minutes into it. I don't know, man. Turns out he's only in one other scene, but hey,
right.
So yeah. Oh, last thing, since we'll should wrap it up or whatever. If you do like under the radar Peacock shows, I highly recommend to everybody We Are Lady Parts.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Especially if you like Edgar Wright.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a copy. They don't copy Edgar Wright, but it's in that vein. And if you like We Are Lady Parts, because it's only 12 episodes, there's 2 seasons, but they're only 6 episodes apiece. If you like We Are Lady Parts, the director and writer Nita Manzoor directed my favorite movie of last year, which was called Polite Society, and also in a similar vein of Edgar Wright. So big fan of We Are Lady Parts and Polite Society. Check them out.
Nice. All right. So before I close up, I just want to remind everyone that season 2 will begin in a couple of weeks. Me and Greg did our polls at the end of the last episode, for those of you that may have not seen or whatever. And I actually got the graphic finished, so I can tell you a little bit about how season 2 is going to go. Sweet. So, all right. So season 2 is going to be 11 episodes long. Last season was 10 episodes long. There's a reason there's a difference. The way we run it all, and I will let you know at the beginning of every episode of the season, is we have 10 movie selections that we've chosen prior to, and we put them in to be chosen at random. End of each episode that we do, we make a poll for the next show. When we go to review it, the dealer's choice, the following show, is to give the reason for the poll, either before we talk about it or after we talk about it. For any reason possible, like, dislike, hate, figure, didn't get enough thing, yada, yada. The new addition this year, the new addition for this season is we have added a wild card poll to each of our containers. So what happens is each of us have a card, a little slip that all it says on it is wild card. Sort of like the river in Texas Hold'em, where there's a sideboard, or if you play any like tabletop game and you know how you have a sideboard, because there may be a movie that we wish we had thrown in the jar and we're like, oh, I really wish I had done that. So when we pull our wild card, you'll hear the old, and that's when we can reach into our sideboard and pick another movie and say, this is what we're doing. And finally, the one golden rule of Wildcard Cinema that I like to follow by is all the movies that we review must be available online in some shape or form, whether that be streaming on a paid service or available on YouTube, or in some cases, if nowhere else, if it's on the Internet Archive or Vimeo or Dailymotion or somewhere like that. And in case it's on one of those oddballs, I will put the link in the description. Hey, look, our date finished downloading.
Nice.
So those are the rules. And like I said, Greg and I made our polls last episode, but just as a refresher, Greg, you pulled Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club.
Yes, I did.
And I pulled Chicago 10 from 2007. We don't know what Mark's pull is yet. He's going to text us when he's actually like feeling better and awake. So it's going to be a mystery basically until the episode comes out.
Looking forward to it.
Before then, because obviously.
Yep.
But that's all we got. We got everything in. Thanks for joining us for part 2 of our supplemental 2024 year in review. And now I actually get to play the outro song that I was going to play yesterday, but that I was inspired to, but I forgot.
Sweet.
All right. So we will see you all in a couple of weeks. Like I said, thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening on Spotify, you can find a video of this on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we're on Spotify as well. So there's a back and forth for it. But please follow us on those platforms. We have a Facebook page down below. Please follow that. Also, as you see down below our names here you have for the whole episode, those are our Letterboxd IDs. And there is a link down below to the list of all the movies we have reviewed on the regular episodes of Wildcard Cinema. So you can keep up at home. But yeah, all that being said, for Greg, my name's JJ. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a bit.
Take it easy.
On a cloudy day, when it's cold outside, I've got the money.